burned because there aren't enough oil drums to store the dead.
We're losing pressure. We're probably losing pressure.
But not all will die. Murres, ducks, guillemots, 70 species in all. By the hundreds, they are rushed to bird recovery centers in Valdez and Seward. They're bathed, fed, and pampered. Some must be washed 15 times, and that tends to ruffle a few feathers.
Oh, mine now.
I really care. You know, I care about what happened. You know, I just want to be a part of it in whatever aspect I can.
In Anchorage, Dr. Jim Scott tends to the eagles. More than a dozen of the birds will be treated here.
Collectively reaction. For more information on sandsorb, contact Finha Trading Oy in Helsinki, Finland, or Sorby Sales Limited in Anchorage, Alaska, USA.
Freely without having hands-on contact, and the oil is...
One is in Anchorage, the other is in Finland, where it was developed. Sorby Alaska says it has shipped the product to the Soviet Union, Norway, and Australia.
Australia. This rare Australian black swan sits covered with diesel oil from a tank farm spill into a lake. It is dejected and dying as the oil penetrates its feathers. The non-toxic and non-hazardous sandsorb, which is a fluffy light absorbent, is applied, relieving the need for scrubbing. The trauma from scrubbing could contribute to the bird's death. The swan lays comfortably as the sandsorb passively extracts the diesel oil from its body. Within minutes, the bird is virtually free of contaminant. It will soon be freed back to its natural environment. The application of sandsorb was credited with saving several swans. Those not treated this way eventually died. Thousands of seabirds were killed from the crude oil that covered their bodies following the 1989 Exxon Valdez tanker accident in Prince William Sound, Alaska. Many contaminated birds were brought to rescue centers where they were thoroughly washed and scrubbed. Some birds lived after this effort. Many others died from the intensity of the scrubbing process, which consisted of scrubbing with brushes and soaking in detergents. Birds have little tolerance for trauma. There is a better way to clean birds and animals. Sandsorb and Chemsorb are non-toxic and non-hazardous absorbent materials that can be directly applied to contaminated birds and to other animals. This oiled seagull was brought to Anchorage veterinarian James Scott, where sandsorb was used to clean the bird. The seagull was placed in a container with sandsorb. The material immediately began absorbing the oil from its feathers. His body was covered with sandsorb, which was gently rubbed under the wings and over its back. The softness and warmth resulting from the insulation value of sandsorb calmed the bird. Dr. Scott explains the methods and benefits of using sandsorb and Chemsorb.
Well, I think it definitely is a situation where if you can let them sit in it for a bit. If you have boxes of this stuff with birds in each box, you could just put the bird in and cover him up, just let his head show, and you could work on his head separately, you know, if his head was covered like some of these were. I think it would work real well. Wonderful to have as soon as possible in these spills, because if it's used then, and you use it on birds in a box situation such as this, you're going to pull all the oil off of them, and then if you use the product that also pulls the water, you dry the bird out real quickly, and they settle down in this because they feel so comfortable. It acts like insulation to them, and they don't fight the box. They just want to be a part of it. And you can't get them to be any more calm than what this is acting. This is the same product, except it's the kind of product that absorbs water instead of oil. And so what we'll do with him, he wants to dry out. That was an action to start drying his feathers. And we're going to let him sit in this for several hours, and then the water that's still in the feathers after the oil has been absorbed will be gone, and he should be returned to a normal fluffy nature. So we'll show you what he looks like after we get that done. This is fecal material that the product just bound up so it didn't soil a bird. It doesn't soil your hands either. You know, you can pick it up and roll it off, and that's important to keep the bird from being soiled during the time that it's recovering. You want to try and keep all of the fecal material off of it. So I think that's encouraging too. Well, let's just kind of put this all out of there, shall we? Huh? Out now, it needs time to be worked out, and I think the bird can do that pretty much on its own. You know, just in a cage. I'm real pleased with the way that the wing feathers cleaned up. They have very little residual on them. The only thing I can feel on the breast is actually water, not oil, and I think that's really encouraging.
Feeling of hopelessness more than the tragic plight of the sea otter. The intelligent and sensitive creature is a bane to fishermen, but a favorite of tourists. To many, this is the face of America's biggest oil spill.
He didn't stand much chance, did he?
About 10,000 otters made their home in Prince William Sound. No one knows just how many will survive. More than 750 dead otters have been recovered so far.